This is Secrets to Win Big, your roadmap to sustained growth. Brought to you by Arjun Sen, founder and CEO of Zen Mango, brand whisperer, top brand growth driver, and a former Fortune 500 executive who has been called one of the most marketing intelligent minds in the business. Find him at zenmango.com. And now, here's your host, Arjun Sen.
Welcome to Secrets to Win Big with Arjun Sen. I'm Arjun Sen, and I welcome you to this edition of Secrets to Win Big. You know, winning is fun, but winning big puts you on the path to long-term sustained success. And at this podcast, you'll hear from leaders from around the world, all walks of life, sharing their different secrets to get to these big wins. Now, of course, it's very easy to win, or it is easier to win when you have a lot of resources. But what do you do when you start with literally nothing, one unit, and no resources? Maybe the only resource is you. You really have to believe that your end goal is what you're going to achieve and believe in yourself. My VIP guest today is Clarke, a passionate marketing and consumer fanatic. And I really want to understand a little more on the fanatic part. He took the one unit Mad Green's restaurant to 30 units and created one of the first successful better for you fast casual brands. And usually the odds for most first restaurants to make it is very low. So with that kind of a negative odd, to build this was priceless. And after that, he has taken Ninja Nation, a world-class obstacle course arena focusing on helping kids gain strength. And I want to know more about how he wants to create a million heroes. One of the things he will share about his secrets is optimizing guest experience and driving. This is what I really want to know. What is love mark moments? Lucas, it's a pleasure. Welcome.
Thank you, Arjun. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the time and appreciate being here.
Absolutely. So Lucas, I have to take you back to day one. Okay, everything was one that day. Okay, day one unit, one person. What the heck were you thinking that day? Like, how were you so brave? Like, I want to know what went on your mind and what's the first thing you did that day?
Starting in the restaurant, I was actually working in the restaurant, and I had a marketing background from CU, and I started coming up with some ideas of ways we could get more customers and how we could sort of branch outside of the four walls through catering. We were down in the Centennial area across from Park Meadows Mall. There was a lot of offices down there, and so from day one when I started marketing stuff, I started talking to the guests who were coming in and who were basically telling me, hey, can we get bigger salads? Can we bring this back to our office? Can we do this kind of thing? And so it really started with that guest interaction and that guest experience. And from there, I started building out, basically just going out to different offices and dropping stuff off, marketing materials that I made up myself with Adobe Photoshop. And Marley and Dan, the two co-founders of Mad Greens, we sort of collectively started passing stuff out to help grow the sales, not just inside the four walls, but on the outside of the four walls as well. Because if we were going to grow this concept to a multi-unit concept, we really had to get more people through the doors, but there was a limit to that because our space was small, 1,600 square feet, and we needed so that outside help. So talking to a lot of the guests, figuring out what their needs were, and then sort of extrapolating out on that.
Wow. So as you have gone through that journey from 1 to 30, what were some of the biggest challenges and what kept you focused? Like, what made you believe in yourself during that whole journey?
Well, a couple things. I believe in myself. I'm a pretty confident guy, so that was a good start. But really believing in the product, that was sort of one of the reasons why I wanted to go with a startup. I had worked with a startup previous to this called New Seasons Market, and I was really wanted to be in that excitement of the growth phase. Mm-hmm. And so, one of the biggest challenges for Mad Greens, the food was amazing. Big salads, healthy, better for you foods, made from scratch kitchen. One of the big hurdles we had to overcome was that a salad was a meal, and the salad was something that you could eat 6 days a week and feel good. It doesn't weigh you down, doesn't want to make you go to sleep afterwards, and all those things sort of compelled us to move forward. We were confident in the product, we were confident in the process, and how we were able to get food out fast, similar to a Chipotle. or a Noodles and Company, which were, hot concepts at the time back in 2005 when we started.
Mhm.
And that sort of gave us the confidence to move forward. Also, the people loved the product. That was one of the key things. People come in every day, sometimes twice a day. You'd have people coming in for lunch, and then they come in and pick up a salad for dinner. So we knew we were onto something from a product standpoint that people really, felt good about eating and really connected with the brand and with what we were putting out there from a product standpoint.
So if you have to give an advice to a new Lucas who's starting on day one with unit one, what would a few pieces of advice you'll give to Lucas Clarke today if you were starting that journey now?
I would say, don't be afraid to try things that, try lots of things and fail at them and learn from those failures. I think that, me being, a young marketing professional, I was really, striving to get things right as
Mhm.
opposed to trying to try a lot of things to figure out what was the right way. And I think that that's one of those things that unfortunately only comes with experience, is knowing, how to fail forward and how to fail enough times to be able to sort of grow past that. So, trying a lot of things, and also just, utilizing the capital that you have, which is yourself, spending time, talking to people about it, and, thinking about it, and going out and trying out products and testing things, whether you're in the retail space or you're in a product category, whatever it happens to be. Don't spend too much time insulating yourself. Really spend time out in the marketplace, gaining as much knowledge as you possibly can, talking to as many people as you can who, are aligned with your product and are using your product or potential users of your product. I think that those would be two key things that I learned and would be very valuable for somebody starting out, right now.
It is fascinating. And the two words that really stood out is fail forward. Help me understand a little more what you mean by that.
Well, we all fail every day. We fail multiple times a day, and we only succeed after learning from those failures, which is one of our sort of core tenets at Ninja Nation. Is that we're teaching kids how to fall and get back up. Nobody ever doesn't fail, and it's what you learn from that failure that sort of you can build upon to your future success. And that's been something that has been been something that I've learned over the years, and I continue to just try things and see what the outcomes are. And sometimes they're small failures,
Mhm.
small, and they don't have to be, monumental failures. Sometimes that happens, but hopefully not too many times. And then
Mhm.
you're able to learn from that and move forward.
Got it. So now let's take you back to Matt Green's 30 units. When you look back, what did you feel about the accomplishment, and what was one thing that got you there? And of course, I want to know after that, what is Love Mark? What is it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'll dive into the love mark in a minute. I think that the thing that really got us to 30 units with Mad Greens was, a passionate team who loved, providing and producing great food at an affordable price, quickly to the consumer. And I also thought that, that once again, coming back to the product, the food was very, very good. Marley and Dan, two, best friends and the chefs, came up with these recipes, scratch kitchen, didn't compromise on anything when it came to that. And that sort of stance from a visionary perspective helps drive that brand forward, and people connected with that. And, as we grew, we found out different parts across the country that people just loved the product and wanted more of those salads, which they're tasty and craveable, and I could eat one every day for the rest of my life if you told me I had to, for sure.
And what's Love Mark?
So Love Mark is a book that Kevin Roberts from Saatchi and Saatchi
Hmm.
wrote in 2004, and really the overall scope of a Love Mark is a brand that has a loyalty and a passion that goes beyond reason or comprehension. Consumers and guests can't really put their finger on why they love a certain product, but they love it. And it goes beyond KPIs. It goes beyond sort of any sort of marketing, research that we can do, because people just say, I just love Starbucks coffee. And sure, there's better coffee. There's
Mm-hmm.
tons of better coffee out there, but they love Starbucks, or they love Lululemon, or they just have this intrinsic, like, when they see an ad or they see that brand, it just sort of like brings them joy. And I think that that's, what all brands are striving towards. And Kevin, being the CEO of Saatchi and Saatchi for 25, 30 years, wrote this book sort of explaining the process of how a love mark becomes a love mark. And one of the funny stories that he gives in the book is talking about how he uses the same shampoo, and he's been using the same shampoo for 20 years, even though he's bald. He has like a little bit of hair on the sides, but he loves using Head and Shoulders shampoo because he just loves the way it feels. He loves the way it smells, but he can't explain it. He won't go to any other shampoo. So he's used that example as a love mark, and that's, I think, what we as marketers are trying to achieve, is that we're trying to match up, our brand to the right consumers in a way that is genuine, that is, helps them through their day or in their life in a way that's with love, and sort of the outcome of that is a passion for that product.
Great. And you talked about the passionate team, and Marley, Dan, and of course they're amazing human beings, and they would have been successful based on their drive. But I want to put you on the spot, because in that journey, success could have happened in 5 or 10 different ways. What was the Lucasness that took them forward? Like, if you had to brag shamelessly about what did Lucas add to this whole thing, because I've followed your career, so I really want to know, what's that Lucasness that brought them to this path? I'm not saying they wouldn't have been successful without you, but what's Lucasness?
That's a good question, and you know me, so you know that I don't particularly like bragging about myself. But I would say that one of the things that I brought to the team was a different perspective on the consumer experience, in thinking about how every sort of move that we make, whether it's arranging a dining room in a certain way or setting up a register a certain way, is going to impact the consumer. I think that I have a high level of empathy quotient
Mm-hmm.
towards people. And I have when I talk to people, I'm genuinely interested in what they have to say, and want to take that feedback in and turn it into something that we can make, the experience in the restaurant better. And I think that that's what I brought to the team of Marley and Dan, was that we were able to work really well together in developing our different areas, and then coming together as a team to sort of build that up. But really kind of looking at that, and then also building marketing plans and strategies around that, like driving people into the restaurant. Really concentrating on social listening. Social media was starting to be a big thing back when we started, and really paying attention to what people were saying about us online, because it matters, because that's how they really feel, and doing something with that information to make updates and changes.
If you have to do that all over again, start again and go to 30, what would one thing you would do the same, never change? And what one thing you would do differently based on hindsight?
I think one thing that I would keep the same is the passion for the food and the scratch made kitchen, and keeping things, real food, real ingredients. Like we want things to be, as clean as possible. So I think that is something I wouldn't change. I think that, salad dressings and marinades and things like that can really, you can taste the passion in those ingredients when you go to Mad Greens. I think that that's a key differentiator for us. I think one of the things we changed, which we did end up changing eventually, but just simplifying the offering. I think that we wanted to, be a little bit too broad for our guests, and I think that we wanted to, if we just simplified the menu, we could cut down on SKUs and cut down on the queue line, because there's less things for people to pick, but the things that they do pick are things we want them to pick. So simplification, getting to a simplification standpoint sooner, I think would have been something I would have changed.
And of course, you left at 30 units, but if you stayed there, what would you do differently in the next phase to take it from 30 to 100?
I think when you start going from 30 to 100, really working on company culture and training and once again keeping that simplification going. I think that one of the things I've learned from a leadership standpoint is that culture and authenticity to people and to the team is crucial in that next phase of growth. And I would really concentrate on that and concentrate on bringing the best ideas forward from the team at the restaurants and processes and things like that to just make things more efficient and simplified to the guest experience. All in the end, it's really just about getting the best product to the guests as they like it.
So how do you define culture, and how can a brand that starts from one unit, like when is culture formed?
I think that culture is formed with with the mission of the company, and it's something that somebody has to own at the company, and that's pretty much all they do is they talk and communicate with basically everybody, and in a not necessarily in a trickle down way, but almost in a direct way. Being able to directly send out a mass text video to all the team. We just casually, not every time there's a big news or big updates, but just on a regular cadence. I think that hearing from the founders and from CEOs on a regular basis to their team, people really identify with that. And then when they're in the location, whether it's a retail or whether it's a restaurant, having the genuine interactions with everybody and taking those ideas and making sure that people know that they're accessible and that their ideas will be heard, I think is really important from a culture building standpoint. But I think it really starts from the onset and grows from there.
And that one person has to own it and be out in front guiding
Absolutely. Yeah. Owning it and being out in front, not delegating that out to somebody else. I mean, they've got to be the one who takes it and runs with it. And I think that's been key with a number of leaders that I've worked with over the years to see where culture can take you.
So big learning for me is cannot outsource culture.
Cannot outsource culture. No, definitely not. Genuine, and also it trickles back to when you do have big announcements or big changes, or let's say you're going to do a brand shift or a pivot. All those little conversations, all those little communications built up over 2, 3, 4, 10 years, add up to a level of trust and a bond between the founders, the visionaries, the co-founders, the CEOs, whoever's that person holding that torch, and everybody else that is part of the organization.
Awesome. So now, for those of everybody who's listening who is not in the restaurant, what would be one thing that is important for any business starting from unit 1 to 30 to 100 and beyond? What's the most important thing that works universally?
I think the most important thing is to continue to be true to who you are as a brand, and to listen to your consumers and your guests, and really have that dialogue from day one. Word of mouth, as we know as marketers, is priceless and almost impossible to track. So knowing that you are doing everything you can for your consumers to make their experience the best is paramount. Whether you're Orange Theory Fitness or CrossFit or a ninja gym or a restaurant or a retail chain. I have a friend that has a small retail chain, regional retail chain, and she is just the epitome of guest experience and bringing in products and things like that. And her retail is thriving in brick and mortar as well as online, because she is maniacal about the guest experience and getting exactly what her clients and her consumers want and need.
So you talked about Ninja Station quite a few times. So give me a little bit more ideas about what got you excited. Tell me more about the brand, where you're taking it, and what's your vision.
Yeah, so Ninja Nation was started in early, like January 2018, by our founder and CEO Wayne Kavanaugh. He wanted a place for kids and families to be able to, do something physical and fun, and have, great family interaction, but also have it be a safe space, a clean space, where, people could come together and be a community gathering place. And he stumbled upon the Ninja Gym idea as sort of an anchor point for this concept, and built it out from there. We were connected through a mutual friend, and we didn't have any arenas or gyms at the time that I was brought on board in March of 2018. And, he really sold me on the mission of a million heroes, which is getting a million kids and adults and families together to move their bodies in ways that they never thought possible, and really challenging themselves to try things that they may not necessarily otherwise try, from hanging on different monkey bar things to swoop slider or a warp wall, or all these different fun things that we have in the arena that are all based on obstacle course racing, trusses, and things that you'd see on the show like American Ninja Warrior or Beastmaster, things like that, and really teaching kids and adults perseverance, determination, failing forward. That was a big one for me when we talked about that. We wanted to build a place that all these things can happen in a physical environment, to get kids, away from video screens, and, moving their bodies and having fun. And what we've seen is, we've, had, I think we're at 140,000 heroes, which are people coming through, individuals coming through our doors, and people coming, 5 days a week with their kids to have fun, to play, to train, and then also to compete. We do ninja competitions as well. So Ninja Nation has been, we've been growing like gangbusters. We opened 3 locations in 3.5 months in 2 states, so 2 in Colorado, 1 in Texas. And we've been refining our programming and offering amazing classes, and we do birthday parties. We do all kinds of fun stuff in it with an active sort of tilt in that ninja space. And then we launched franchising in September of 2019, and we have 2 franchise units that we're going to be opening this year, and then we're going to continue growing franchising for the foreseeable future.
So you are an amazing leader yourself, and you have worked with some incredible entrepreneurs and leaders. So is there a person or an incident that inspires you? And what is one of the core leadership traits that you always look at to be the most important thing for you as a leader?
Yeah, I was really, really inspired and impacted by the CEO that I worked with at New Seasons Market, which is a Portland, Oregon-based grocery store chain. It's really big in the natural foods side of things, similar to like a Whole Foods, but they also offer conventional groceries there as well. So not only can you get organic granola, but you can also get Cheerios. And the leader there that I worked with, his name is Brian Roeder, and he really he just had this amazingly authentic and honest way of his vision of what he wanted to see New Seasons Market be. He wanted it to be the friendliest store in town, and we had that on our back of our shirts. It said the friendliest store in town. On our name tags it said, ask me for help or a free sample. And he encouraged us to open up a package of yogurt if somebody was looking at something, and be like, oh, do you want to try this? And grab somebody a spoon and give it a try. Going above and beyond for the consumer, and always being honest with people. And I think that was sort of the main leadership trait that I took away from him, was to be kind, to be honest and genuine with every interaction, whether it's a huge group, whether 500 staff that we're having a big annual meeting, or if it's a one-on-one with a guest, and trying to do the best that you can for them in whatever they're searching for in the store. And from a leadership standpoint, that really had an impact on me. And I was 18 years old when I worked there, and that's something that I've carried on, ever since, and really trying to have those genuine, honest interactions with everybody that I come in contact with.
Awesome. So to me, as you are now influencing the brand, talking to future partners and franchisees, what is the one business story that you hear yourself say over and over again?
Actually, I talk about the business story about Ninja Nation a lot. When we're talking to franchisees, we're talking about people who are looking at opening their own business and in transition. And Wayne's story, our CEO and founder of Ninja Nation, his story of moving from investment banking to opening a ninja gym for geared towards kids is that's a big change. And he was he wasn't fulfilled in the investment banking world and the venture capital world. He wanted to do something that involved kids and involved families and involved fitness. And that really spoke to me. And I talk about it all the time in terms of making a life pivot and how important it is to realize when it's time for you to pivot in your life and to really just jump in, making calculated sort of educated guesses based on your experience, but jumping in to something that you're passionate about, because we only get one life and we only get one chance at doing something fun that we love to do that will turn into something great. And if you're in a situation that you may not be feeling as much on a daily basis, to get into something that you're excited about. And that to me is also another thing that really drew me into Ninja Nation from a mission standpoint, is that he wanted to build this place that for kids and had this vision. And we've made it a reality, and over the last 2 years really just exploded from a brand standpoint and from a impact standpoint as well.
Awesome. So you talked about from day one at Mad Greens, you were always talking to guests, trying to find out, how do you listen to guests and sort through everything and find out what are the core issues, the core pulse of guest experience, what they need?
Yeah, that's definitely been, it's definitely can sometimes be challenging, because guests will talk to you. Some guests will talk your ear off, which I'm sure as well. They'll sit down and 45 minutes later, you've got their whole life story. And I think what it's important to keep in mind, is to be honest and to be genuine and continue that conversation and not end it too abruptly, but also pull out the elements that that you think will help make their day better, make their week better, make their sort of make their way through life easier. Because products and services and establishments that have been able to do that have been able to really give the guest what they need and nothing much more than that, have really succeeded. And I think that's important. So always, when you're talking to somebody and finding out, not just asking them, oh, how many times you come here, and oh, what did you get today, those types of things, but understanding how you fit in their day and how you fit that person's persona and how that matches up to the other people that you've talked to about that guest experience and about your brand.
Of course, now I just want to move to a topic which is very near, dear, and defines you.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm totally honored that I am talking to a 3-time world champion track cyclist. Okay. Wow. It's like, to me, it's like simply amazed. And I just want to understand what got you excited about riding. What got you excited? Like, a lot of people ride, they go to different levels, but they don't push themselves to literally get to the peak.
Yeah.
So I just want to understand where this came from and what pushed you to go all the way.
Well, I think it's a culmination of a lot of things. I've always been very competitive, even though I've not been overly good at lots of different sports. And I'm, my best friend of 25, 30 years will tell you the same thing. I've kind of been a jack of all trades, but master of none. I'm fairly good at lots of different little things. But when I started bike riding in 2006, I was really just fell in love with the sport. I fell in love with the ability to see new places from a view of your bike and just sort of get around. And so I started there. I started with my first goal was to ride the triple bypass, which is a bike ride here in Colorado that is 110 miles and takes you 10,000 feet. 10,000 feet of vertical. And I started with little goals along the way. Then I wanted to do my first race, and then I wanted to win a race, and from an amateur level, and then sort of building the way up. I think the thing that really excited me about riding was the daily challenge. I mean, I ride my bike every day, and the daily challenge of the workout. At the beginning, let's go back 10 years, it was insanely hard. And you just like you're getting repetitions on anything or logging your 10,000 hours, it's very hard at the beginning, but then you start to sort of bring it up and you look forward to pushing yourself. And about 5 years ago, I got, 6 years ago, I got really excited about pushing myself, and I started signing up for these 10-day European bike tours that were extreme to the extreme in terms of how much you're riding, 120 miles a day and 15,000 feet of climbing. And I just sort of built it up from there and found what I was really enjoyed about bike riding, which was going fast. And so when I developed the love for that, I started going to the velodrome, which is a 250 meter banked track. It's sort of one of the more popular sports in the Olympics for cycling. You're on a bike with no brakes, the fixed gear. You only have one gear, and you race as hard as you possibly can against the other 27 people on the track to cross the finish line first. And that just to me felt like the best form of bike racing. You're going fast, you're in an enclosed area. There's no variables like rain or anything like that. It's just pure racing. And that is sort of what got me excited about it. And I set a goal in 2017 to go to the Masters World Championships, which was in Los Angeles, and 13 months of hard work and weight training and riding, a lot, culminated in 5 days of racing, which was a lot of racing, and yeah, ended up with 3 world championships.
Wow. To me, it gives me goosebumps to just hear about your passion. And to me, this, thanks for opening that true window inside you. And how does this person who never knew how to ride a bike but didn't take this seriously till 2006, now in 11 years, you have achieved not only one, like 3 championships. How does this help you in the business side? Like, is there a common or both are totally separate? Like,
I definitely think it helps in the business side of things. I think that having balance in my life has always been a key part. If you overload one side, you'll tip the scales on the other side. But if you overload both sides, not overload, but if you load up both sides, then you sort of find this like teetering balance, and it helps you with driving success in other areas. And I think that it's being a part of a schedule, being a part of setting goals is extremely helpful in the business world. And setting your 90-day goals, your 120-day goals, your year goals, your 3-year goals, 5-year goals, 10-year goals, that kind of thing is very applicable in endurance sports, mm-hmm. as well as in business. And then being able to adapt those goals too. So adaptation is something that endurance athletes go through all the time. You don't feel well one day and you miss a small block of training, you got to adjust your training schedule. You miss some sales projections, or your marketing campaign doesn't work, or operations, sort of, you have to be able to like problem solve and fix it yourself so you can still get to the end result and hit that goal. But yeah, I think that's been key and translates over into the business world a lot. It's just that ability to make adjustments on the fly and once again, not be scared to fail, and not be scared to make those adjustments for that better growth.
And if you fail, fail forward. I won't forget.
Exactly. If you fail, fail forward.
So to me, with every leader, I really always ask and want to know, what's the first thing they think of when they start their day? And what's the last thing? Because to me, that gives an amazing perspective. So for you, what's the first thing that you think of, and what's the last thing when you are finishing your business side of your day?
Well, so I start my day very early. I wake up at 4:45 and I get on my bike. So the first thing that I think about during the day is, I check to see what my workout is and how hard it's going to be, and then I get excited. I'm like, oh man, this is going to be hard. It's going to be good. Sometimes on the easy days, I'm like, oh, this is going to be easy, and maybe I should just do something harder because that would be way more fun. But that's one of the first things I think about. And then once I'm on the bike, I start thinking about sort of things throughout my day and through my week. I go through a couple of things on my phone to check schedule and things like that. Just sort of going over any things that I have coming up. It's a really my time to sort of think clearly about work, but also about sort of my overall day. And I'm also somebody who really doesn't stop working. I'm thinking about stuff throughout the day and executing on things. Pretty much. Actually, sometimes I've been guilty of sending emails at 5:10 in the morning because I'm on the bike and I have an idea and I'm like, I can't forget to send this to somebody because I want them to know about it. And people will email back, oh, you're on your bike again. So, so that's the sort of way I start my day. And it's being in that routine it also helps me, get through any sort of issues or anything like that I need to work through on any given day.
Yeah, so to me, before I formally officially thank you, I just cannot think of somebody who fits the concept of winning big more than you, because most of us like to win, but most of us do not get to win big. And when we win big, most of us do not get to repeat our win. But even if you did that and won the 3-time world championship track bicyclist, there's something you have done which tells me the skills you have are even bigger. And this one is very personal to me. I was just having fun as an amateur golfer. Of course, there was this competitive side in me where I wanted to win every tournament I played in, but I didn't want to say that because I knew I didn't have a path to that. I don't think you have played competitive golf ever. But
I'm the worst golfer ever, Arjun. I think we should play sometime, but man, it would be
We'll
very
play for
bad.
money. We'll play for money. But what you did for me was how you helped me prepare everything before the round. And the thing that helped me understand that preparation is in the details, where even you told me, how do you get an amazing night's sleep, where you check any micro source of light in the room. Like, to me, I may have been the only golfer ever to travel with black tape because of you.
Yeah.
And what was fascinating was I won 6 out of 9 tournaments the year after. And I attribute only to you, because to me, I think that's the part where not only having the skill and that you have shown in your life, picking something in 2006 and by 2017 repeating, but you can transfer that skill to a goofy golfer. So I really think there's something amazing. And Lucas, it's truly a pleasure to talk to you today. So where can people who want to get in touch with you, how do they find you? Where do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, I actually answer all the Ninja Nation emails. So if you go to ninjanation.com, you can hit the contact us link and you can get me. You can also find me on LinkedIn, which is just Lucas Clarke, Clarke, on LinkedIn, and I have great conversations with people on LinkedIn that we all have similar interests, and I love talking to people. I love reaching out to people. So yeah, please reach out.
So if you want to reach out to Lucas, go to Ninja Nation and just write an email. Lucas, this was incredibly amazing. And on total disclosure, Lucas was a student of mine at University of Colorado. And that gives me incredible pride to see the Lucas brand blossom and reach newer peaks. And today, I really think the student became the professor and taught me the following three things. Fail forward. You just made failing so easy as a spontaneous part of life. And you just made me get excited that I want to fail, because that whole excitement of getting up and getting back up is so much fun that I've never heard anybody talk about looking forward to failing, and that was fascinating. The second, I also love the way you simplified branding and you talked about being true to who you are and keep talking to the customer with just very simple authenticity. And the way you described that one phrase that you want to be the epitome of guest experience, again, that connects to not just to ride a bike, but also to be the world champion, not just once by thrice. And I really see there's a parallel between both at every place. And finally, I think, you talked about this incredible concept about we all have one life to live. It's a cliche, it's a phrase all of us use, but we don't use it, don't know what to do with it. But you talked about the life pivot, where when there's an opportunity, jump in, because if you find something that's fun, do it. And I'm really happy for you, the passion you have, and an incredible team at Ninja Nation. Wish you the very best. And again, thank you, Lucas. So this was an incredibly fascinating episode of Secrets to Win Big with Lucas Clarke. Thank you, and talk to you guys soon.
You've been listening to Secrets to Win Big with Arjun Sen, founder and CEO of Zen Mango, brand whisperer, top brand growth driver, and a former Fortune 500 executive who has been called one of the most marketing intelligent minds in the business. To learn more, visit www.zenmango.com. Share this podcast with your friends and subscribe wherever you like to listen to podcasts.